If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. It is 8 p.m. Tuesday evening, and we are here live on Studio B. Yeah, you've waited all week for the most cutting-edge topics and guests, and now it is time to deliver. That's right, it's the Stephen D. Kelly Show with your host, Stephen D. Kelly.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Stephen D. Kelly Show. I'm your host, Stephen D. Kelly. Thank you for being here. Hi, and I got to tell you guys, I really do look forward to this every week, and I do really appreciate all of the loyal listeners that have been tuning in every week. It really is a lot of fun. We've had some really interesting, powerful guests. Tonight we're going to take it a little bit easy. I have a guest who is a spiritualist, a healer, she's a warm and fuzzy person. And I'm going to introduce her very soon, but before I do, I just have a couple things I want to say. First of all, thank you, Revolution Radio Freedom Slips, for giving me this venue, and this is listener-supported radio, so if you guys have the ability to help us, please do. If you go to the homepage for Freedom Slips, there is a button that says support us, and I just want to say that since I've come on the station that my listeners have been very, very good in supporting the station, and I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate that. I always tell people this at the show, but there's certain things we would like you to write down. One of them is the call-in number for the show. Another is my email. I'm going to give you the call-in number, but first I want you to write down my email because this is the best way for people to reach me. And that is, my email is law17gun@aol.com. That's law17gun at aol.com. And the other thing, if you don't know this yet, is my name. Write down my name, my complete name, Stephen, S-T-E-V-E-N-D, Kelly, K-E-L-L-E-Y. And the reason for that is if you Google it, you're gonna find everything. People are always asking me, oh, how do I find your show or this show? It's very simple. Google my name and everything comes up. And as far as the YouTube video is concerned, you can sort those things by what's most recently uploaded, and that's certainly helpful. The call-in number for tonight for Studio B, and it typically doesn't change, but sometimes we have a different producer who has a direct line. Tonight, my producer is Richard Kane. He was recruited into this only about 5 minutes before the show started because my normal producer, Joe, was busy. So, Joe, I hope whatever you've got going on tonight that it's successful, and we look forward to seeing you back next week. Write this down again. The call-in number for tonight is 310-421-4053. And what we're going to do is we're going to take calls in the second hour. Okay, so about 60 minutes from now, we'll start taking calls. Also, those of you in the chat room, please feel free to send questions whenever you want. The producer is watching the chat room, and he will relay your questions to me. So if there's something that comes up, you hear myself or the guest say something interesting that you need to respond to, please write something down in the chat, and he will bring it to my attention right away. Okay, well, let's see. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in my guest now, and her name is Karen Ann McDonald. She's relatively well known out there in the metaphysical world. I know I think I've appeared with her. She's done the Alchemy show a few times with David Farman, and I know that she's been on that, and we've actually shared Skype a few times. But I'm rather than give an extensive bio on Karen, we're gonna let you learn about her in our conversation. Karen, would you please say hello to everybody?
Hi, how is everyone doing this evening? I hope you're having the best days ever. We sure are here today in Saskatoon.
Yeah, so you're in Saskatoon, Alaska. What's the weather like where you're at? I'm not sorry, Alaska, Canada. What's the weather like over there today?
Not as cold apparently as it could be in Alaska. We're just actually, Saskatoon is in the middle of the prairies. We're right on the riverbanks of what's called the South Saskatchewan River. So it's about 25 degrees. It's in its, close to 80 some today. It's beautiful, beautiful autumn day coming in, getting ready for the beautiful full moon in a couple days here. So out gardening.
Looking forward to the full moon, but it's a nice sunny warm day here in the LA area. Are you in the same time zone as me? Are you in the Pacific time zone? Or are you more central?
Actually, right now we're in central, and so the weather changes very little other than the snow here, but the time doesn't change because of the agriculture here. So yeah.
Right. Well, I got to tell you, Karen, I've known you for a little while now, and we've talked. We've had a lot of conversations, and you've told me all about what you're doing up there in Saskatoon, and it sounds like a lot of fun. And I need to go up there and visit and hang out at your retreat there. But I'll tell you something. I was dealing with another radio personality, a guy named Kyler Davenport. Mm-hmm. You know Kyler, right? Yeah.
Yes, well, I don't know him, but we've had a few discussions, right?
Well, yeah. Well, it was just kind of funny because I was involved in a group conversation with him a while back regarding some business endeavors that he was looking to pursue, and your name came up, and he mentioned, you're kind of representative of the warm, soft, and fluffy love and light people. How do you feel about that?
I think it's about establishing peace. And as an individual, I can't speak for anyone else, but again, it's about being at peace. And if you want to say warm and fuzzy, that's a nice acclimate I'll take. I really enjoy that. I think there's a lot of things that when we're seeing the kind of global shifts that we are right now, people get into a fear mode, and in order to maintain spiritual, physical, and mental health, we've got to stay really, really focused and grounded. And these really are the best times ever. We're learning to co-create and manifest our own world. So I think that's a great thing. So where we'll be relocating will actually be closer into what you call the Nelson or Sinaitic territory. So just right now, I'm actually collecting my children. We grew up in Saskatoon here in the different areas in the Nishuwa nations. We use all the original terminology. So tonight, when you hear me speak, we will be saying, things. I don't use British Columbia. I don't use the acronyms also of Canada or the United States or what we call de facto or that type of, straw man type of terminology. So I'll be using the original languages, and that's how we live by. So I love being warm and fuzzy. It's all about being serious and big white bear hugs. So it's all good.
Well, there's nothing wrong with warm and fuzzy. I mean, I came from a much darker background, of course, but I learned that the warm and fuzzy and the non-fear and love and light and all that really is where it's at. Mm-hmm. The last few weeks we've been focusing very heavily on the situation in Syria. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you were aware, we had a big show with some people from Syria on the show. And it was incredible. The listeners were just we did over 1 million people, I think, and I really feel that we had an effect on stopping this war. Mm-hmm. And last week I had a guy on, and he talked all about chemical weapons and torture going on in Abu Ghraib and what have you. Really, kind of a low vibrational stuff. So it's nice to get back into the warm and fuzzy a little bit. But I'll tell you, and I think you fall into the same category as me with respect to this. But a lot of people right now, they look at what's going on in the world and they think that it's time for us to stand up and fight and tell the leaders who's boss, and we're not going to take it anymore and everything else. But I'm of the belief that the only way that we're really going to change this world is through the warm and fuzzy. and the expansions of people's psychic energies and spiritual energies and all that. So I think you agree with me on that, right?
Absolutely, totally. I think we've got to come to the point that it's not about a war. It is actually what is inside and is out, the micro and the macro, above and below. It's a very hermetic alchemy, which I do as well. And once you get into that sort of a belief system that there's an us and a them, you've created duality or polarity, which is basically it's split what they call personality. You're acting as a person as opposed to acting not at all, but actually being your true self. And when we project that kind of low level vibrational fear, it actually affects our lower chakras. So as not only a metaphysical, medical, intuitive, we do matrix energetics, we do from oils, and biofeedback and radionics. But one of the most important things is how we look at ourselves. And so that's why we actually were doing things, like enemas or colonics. It's a lower chakra thing. It has to do with viruses, bacteria, candida. All these things affect people, and it keeps them into these lower fear. Even to the aliens and the reptilians or whatever people want to say. If you start putting an us and them, love is the key. Whether we say fourth heart, Venus, call it whatever we want, opinus chakra, a ray, a seal, lighting the fires. We use many different terminologies in different languages, but that's what it's all about. It's about all of us having our freedom, which is no disease. It's free flow. And so a lot of these people actually can end up being your best friends. So I don't look at it as a, conspiracy type of thing. Everyone is doing what they're doing based on where they're at. And, I've seen people unblock or do different energetic techniques, and they're right there with you. And, it's something that's even dormant in people or passed down genetically. So we're all perfect. I mean, that's the whole basis to doing matrix energetics is we're perfect. It's just coming back to that and knowing that. So let's be warm and fuzzy, and let's change the world, and let's raise our inner vibrations. That's what we use essential oils for. It's a huge thing. So if people aren't doing that, you can combine them with frequency or free energy medicine, and we can actually take any of those fear-based programs like a computer and literally neutralize them. I mean, I've had people go from fear to, embracing and having faith in what's coming in. We embrace what's coming in. I'm excited about the pole shift. I don't know about you guys, but this has been the best days ever. It's like David Wolf. We've been waiting for this stuff for a long time,
I got a question for you. A few weeks back or a while back, we had Patty Broussard on the show, and you're relatively close to Patty, right?
Actually, very close to Patty. Actually, I'm probably one of the few people we not only talk back and forth, but we Skype back and forth. And Patty has been instrumental in assisting myself and Lucas Andrew, who's in London, just outside of London, in some of the realignments, because we are doing things getting back to the original calendars, the original laws, people being self-sustaining. So we're not out here collecting communities. We're not recruiting people. That's quite frankly the last thing we want to be, is having master slavery or being queens and stuff. But Patty was actually able to assist in the programs to align up. We've got actually star treaty maps that go back to the clan mothers, and through her programs, we were able to decipher and decode it to 460 BC. So Patty and I, have had some really great talks. We also do a lot of things. These people are out exposing some of and again, it's their own internal shift. You have to look how Patty's done it. And these pole shifts that we talk about is our internal pole shift. Some of us have actually already gone through it. So some of us, we're off the system, we're off the grid. Like myself, we haven't used commerce for a long time. In fact, we know it's unlawful to use it. So we still adhere to the original peace laws. So Patty recognizes that. So whether you want to say we're off the planet or off the earth or an extraterrestrial, or call it whatever you want, we've been able to raise our vibration and frequency and have that alignment or attunement. So the pole shift, is not going to be very dramatic. We already live that way, for a lot of us. So I think that's going to be a great thing. And it's learning how to transmute it. So even a chemtrail, I know how to take certain oils from Young Living and transmute it. You can make things benevolent once you know how to do the alchemy of it.
Well, that's the whole business with transmuting these negative negative things that in our lives and doing that alchemy. That for lack of a better word, I just want to call that magic, and that's what we really want everybody to do. It's learning to use those skills and learning to use that magic in your life so that you can transmute that poison and you can block out the mind control and everything else, and pull ahead. Now, as far as the pole shift, I mean, I'm with you. I'm happy. Well, I'm going to say happy, but I feel fortunate to be alive at this time and to be witness and to be involved in this great transition and in this historical event that we're all participating in. But as far as the transition goes, what do you believe? I mean, I know Kathy, or not Kathy, but our friend Patty likes to say that we're going to essentially lift ourselves off the planet. I mean, what do you feel? What do you envision? What do you try to tell people about what's actually going to happen at transition?
Well, actually, it's really interesting because we're sitting with, I'm probably one of the few people, but there's documentation that has been previously known, and actually the records are in my hot little hands. And so that's actually what Patty's been helping us translate and bring out. So a lot of the stuff that Patty's bringing forward is actually off our feed line, actually. So we've been cross-referencing and doing a lot of things together. And again, it's an international team, whether we're, talking with you or Dr. Tony Minavino or David Farman, David Wolf, Wilcox. I mean, there's all sorts of us all together here in this movement here. But it's an internal processing. It's about, we've gone through actually different periods already before where it's been known not to have light from anywhere from 3 days to 359 days. And this has to do, it's tied into our solar, our seals, the Aztec calendar. It's a period of internal cleansing, and this is very cyclical. So there's not anything to be scared about, especially when I'm going, oh, well, this is what's happened. Well, fine, that's even better because now I've got a little bit more of a background to prepare. So it really is about raising our vibration at this time and going, wow, this is the great time. This is a time that we can actually make changes. And so we grew up with a lot of, we'll just say, pre-programming or misprogramming or certain people's agendas. Doesn't mean that we can't change it. And it's coming back to our internal beautiful beings as radiant beings of light. And so having the advantage of having, biofeedbacks and quantum technology, and I can do readings for people all over the world and stuff. This is about not having that fear. And so taking something as simple as, doing and realizing that there are better ways of adding in. So if we grew up, let's say, in an environment where I did here in Saskatoon, we're not doing vaccines. I'm upgrading to using essential oils. Here I worked actually as a registered nurse at the neonatal intensive care unit for 14 years. And I've got a vast background, in naturopathy and now integrative medicine through the, also, I mean, again, we've got virtual universities here, some of the best doctors in the world and people that we have like Amit and stuff like that and Dr. Bill Nelson are available, and we can actually take universities of quantum integrative universities, the IQUIM. So we can actually do these sort of wonderful things, look at what we've had. Like, I mean, for example, in the hospital, we used to draw blood and we had such a limited amount of knowledge. And then now that I have this technology in radionics and Tesla and Oregon, and I do all sorts of, probably about 80 modalities, but we could actually take this and go, wow, I can scan your blood without taking a drop out. It's better than live blood cell now. There's a ways to do it. Or we grew up with, bread and Wonder Bread instead of going back and growing our own food. So to be really self-sustaining is about, like as an Anastasia, that will be the template actually for the community that we're doing. And it's about also women and men coming back into that divine balance within ourselves. So very much out in the Kootenay area. So if people want to look at where Nelson or Nakusp is, it's phenomenal. It's just on the other side of the Rocky Mountains there. We're sitting on, actually, we've claimed land. And my land claim was actually where the hot springs are, because I thought, Steve, if we're going to start again, we're going to have the best water ever. Because growing up in Saskatoon, this is one of the cities that actually still has fluoride. So we are going to do some law things. I've been sending, as you're probably aware, several different proclamations out. So, a couple of weeks ago, it was from the Pope to the previous Pope, to do with Fatima, to the Black Pope, to 600 members of Congress, the governors, Stephen Harper, his cartel up here, to Elizabeth, to the Privy Council, to all the different bands that we could through the UK and stuff, but also filing, things are starting to get filed into the Hague Court. And so we are making a difference. And there is a thing about clan mothers and women of the clan and men of the clan, but the women were referred to as the angels of the angelic realm. And so to take what we're doing right now for succession to the throne, and what we're talking about is the British throne. So the British throne is a Hebrew word that means people, the covenant, that have kept the peace laws or those original 6 peace treaties in the world. So by our lineage, our ancestors adhered to one. It was called the Noah's Ark Treaty, or some people call it the Eye of Isis Treaty or Camel's Eye, or it's based on the Aztec stone. It's on the calendar. And if we're following natural laws, we have our own ways of doing things. And if you're practicing it that way, you have the ability, the women, to claim land. And that's what Anastasia talks about, is getting back to the motherland, you know, and getting these earth ships and getting this bio nutrition and biodynamics and going back and having living spring water. People are in an artificial state. You know, if you want to talk about it being the straw man and all that sort of thing, and you're in an artificial way of living. Living in the city is not normal. And when the abnormal becomes normal, we've got a big, big problem. So we've got to look at doing things. So even here, I'm going to do what we can in the interim because, for example, the water treatment plant happens to be on the riverbank, which is on the Crown land, which is my land. So we are taking things into the Hague Court, and we're taking things quite seriously, and we do want to make a difference. But this is not where I intend to be. This is not healthy living. This is the center of the uranium. This is the center of the University of Saskatchewan. The synchrotron is here. The Jesuit training ground is in here. The RCMP are very close into here. And again, most of Monsanto is developed here. So the uranium that goes into the, you know, depleted warheads and everything, this is where the actual mecca of everything is happening here. So we also know that to make a shift, we can take a certain amount of people, like the 100th monkey, and right now we have got the largest amount of actually quantum and light energy healers of anywhere in the world is here right now. Can you believe it, in Saskatoon?
Really? I'm not there.
Well, what are you doing? We'll get you up here next week. But the party's going west, like, you know, let's go west, you know, into the hot springs, because we're going to have earned our vacation. And so there'll be a lot of people relocating, you know, with us that want to have that good life, that wish to have freedom, that wish to have that for our children. Right now, I've just got my 19-year-old boy, Alex, back. We're having the best times ever. And so I'm going, wow, you know, this is how we garden. You know, we're gardeners. We tend to the earth. We look after mama. Mama looks after us. And so there's not a thing to be scared about, even with the pole shift. It's a natural cleansing that's going to be coming. It's been predicted. It's so predictable. And so it's nice to have that information and go,
well,
what? Let's
Karen,
go somewhere else.
there's so much that we have to get into. People are asking about the 13 clan mothers and the Illuminati connection. They also people want to talk about the DC shooting. I'm going to leave that to the very last. But I'm sorry, but I have to mention when you say gardening, it just reminds me that last time we talked, you're actually a pretty good gardener, I understand.
Geez, thanks for understanding it. Yeah, we're not a person either, right? But
No, I'm referring to your deprogramming compounds that you cultivate.
Yeah. It's actually phenomenal. Yeah, that was great because right in December you were probably laughing. I remember actually it was the day my mom died. So we were doing it right on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd that weekend when you and I ended up like bonding all weekend with Tony.
You and David Farman.
And for the listeners that don't know, literally this is kind of an inside joke, but we were supposed to be guest speakers, each one of us, and something happened with the bandwidth. So basically Steve and Tony and myself, and there was like about 5 of us that were the show for the entire weekend.
I think that was like 3-day Skype session, right? Something like that.
Yeah. And you guys were so good because Mom actually passed away. So I came back to Saskatoon and I haven't left since, but it's an amazing experience actually. To be here. So when you're asking about the gardening, yeah, we were actually growing kale. So this is really important that people, organic is a dirty word in my world, just like David Wolf. If you want to, Dr. Gabriel Cousins and Daniel Vitalis and people like that, learn about biodynamics, learn about permaculture and Rudolf Steiner, Victor Schellberger for the Living Waters. This is where it's at, is getting back to natural stuff. And so, yeah, we're actually in these times, we know we've got radioactivity here. Dr. Helen Caldicott's a good friend of mine. So one of those things is, well, if we got a garden, you better have it indoors with the best, soil ever. So yeah, we're doing cosmic domes and we're doing sacred geometry and crystals in the gardens. We've got the breast spring waters actually out where we are. So people are going to have to look for making that shift and where to get to areas of safety. So really, we've got the prime land up there right now. So I know people are, anything along the West Coast, you've got the San Andreas fault line. We know that the Fukushima is up thousands of times higher than normal, 108 times higher already in the rainwater and stuff. So when you're looking at things like Dutch things, we're on top of that. This is actually very old. We were the first ones with Fukushima, like right in March 11th. We were already posting protocols. So we've been at this a long time. So the best thing you could do is be gardening yourself. And people that are in a place where the soil is poor, like actually what we're doing today, even collecting this morning so I could get Alex juicing and stuff. This is a new way of life for him too, a little bit. So what we want to do is get those foods. And actually, that's why I'm really recommending people get into superfoods. There's very little nutrition in a lot of the soils right now. In our area, for example, you can get a 5 to 10 pound beet. Now that's normal in some of the areas. Here, I'm lucky if it's, maybe 2-3 inches or fits in my palm.
I'm sorry, but I'm not a big beet fan.
But, the beets, the carrots, whatever, it's, 10 pound, like they say, that it looks like a 10 pound bowling ball, like, for cauliflower and stuff. But there's a difference when you've got nutrient dense or rich soils.
Mom used to serve me beets, and all the red juice would pollute all the food on the plate. I was not into that.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, Baba did stuff with borscht too, so you get to bad. Now we're doing things like Victoria Batanko and Sergio Batanko and Valia. Excellent. Start looking for people at raw foods. Look at where the nutrition is. Nutrition is actually where people are at, and this totally affects the thinking. So garbage in, garbage out. So if we want to get through the pole shift and have the best times ever, those of us, we're dancing, we're singing, we're having, groups come over because we're raising the vibration. We're doing meditation, we're doing Raja Yoga. Get yourself into the highest state that you possibly can. And that literally means this is the time of great, whether you want to call it exodus, purifications. We are doing a migration. We call it the journey. It means the flow is there. The spirit is there. The chi is there. That means no blocks. And so using stuff like frankincense can activate your, third eye. We know how to do that. Get people out of fear and open up and get back with the vision. This pole shift is actually to do with the pole stars and Polaris. And that's the big bear. And that's a constellation for what we call the Bear Clan. So call it in different ways. Also, when you look at the Aztec, I'm going to really encourage people to get on the calendars because you're out of time. And when you realize it's a vibration, what we're talking about is learn from going from a Gregorian calendar that was imposed on people through the Vatican Wars and Inquisitions, that you're not in the right time that we are. So we don't follow those kind of Gregorian calendars. We follow the Aztec one. And that's the same thing like Anastasia or your 13 clamums. So some of the women and men probably have read a little bit about that, but Anastasia is like a clan mother. And the 13 original clan mothers, there's a book by Jamie Sams as well. Again, it's very, very basic, but the most exciting information we have put up for free. And you can go to YouTube. It's called Meredith Quinn, Tribal Laws. And you can learn how actually the system actually runs by constellation, zodiacal, also what's called tribal laws. And you can look at Aboriginal laws. I never like that word because Aboriginal means away from the origin. But on YouTube, you can track it through Aboriginal Laws Canada and learn about the law of the flags. That's how things run. And so when you actually are in the position that we are, not only do we say check and skull, we are the law. And then not only that, but we command not only the law of the land, but also oversee the holy seas. And that's a big difference. So we are actually as clan mothers over the Admiralty. And so that's why I sent actually letters there. So that is actually sort of one of the things that we've got to do that. So there's some really interesting stuff about shifting in here and going into what we call it. Someone just asked a question about going to parallel realities or dimensional shifts. You are that. And actually, if you go to matrix energetics, that's what we do. And going to an alternative reality will make heaven on earth right here, right now. So when we say fifth dimensional earth, well, some of us are way higher than that. That's like fifth chakra. That's to me very low.
Well, I say fifth density.
Yeah, some people fifth density and stuff like that. But looking at that, we talk about, if you want to look at some of the stuff to do with the star nations, you can look up Standing Elk or look at what some of the prophecies have been. And a lot of this thing is called lighting the seventh or the eighth fires. And there's way more chakras above and below, or when you want to get into, astral traveling and time walking or time shifting or shamanic stuff, which is what we do as well. So, I don't even like to, think in terms of limitation. But what you're doing is you're shifting into a different reality where that condition doesn't exist. And so kind of like law of attraction, like we have the best playmates ever. So we've had people that were literally paralyzed and get up and walk on me in 10 minutes. That's what we expect. I expect that individual can change. Or it's the same thing when I might have someone come to me that was ill and, I'm a diabetic, I'm this, I've got cancer, I got that. And I said, well, those are just words. If you take cancer and flip it around and put it, reverse it, mirror image it, it's Reknak. And, that's just spelling. That's what we call witchcraft, warriorcraft, crafting. And so that's where we go into the miracles and getting beyond that. So that's where we like to focus, and everyone is divine. And so, you can see some wonderful things like Greg Braden is actually going to be in Calgary in a couple of weeks, or you get people like David Wolf at the Seed event. You see people literally, their lives have changed by just being in the presence. So it's fun to have playmates and go on tour and do things like this with these kind of people, or, go to these different conferences and absorb and also help as well. So I think it's like the greatest thing what we're doing like tonight. Tomorrow I'm on one, for example, as well with Susan Singh. And she was actually someone that the first time I met her in Calgary, and those people that are in the freedom movement, they may have heard of Mary Croft, but Mary Croft was one of the women that put out How We Beat the CRA. Well, I got a little bit better. I just went right out of the system because it's not my system. So we create our own, kind of like Bucky says, don't go up against the system, create something new. In fact, add to it and create your own system, make something better. So not here against anyone. In fact, we're here to help people. And so we do go into courts and stuff. And actually, it's very cool to have a judge say they understand me now. I love that.
Karen, I think that a lot of people really, you're going to hear this. You're going to keep getting the same question over and over because, and again, I think this may be something to do with the fear of the transition. Mm-hmm. But you see this last line here on the chat. The people they want some confirmation if this is, if we are going into another parallel reality or if the Earth is changing. I think what the people really want to know is life going to be interrupted? Is the transition going to involve an ascension type of thing? I mean, I'm asking you this. I have my own feelings, of course, but I think that people really want to hear it from you. It's like me personally. I think we leave the body and our soul goes into a higher level, a higher level of density, a more spiritual existence. So if that involves a death, per se, a physical death on this level of reality, then so be it. But that's what everybody's fearing. Do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to. I think that's part of, again, where I'll just say your belief system. We know about things, and mine is knowledge base is a little bit different. So, and I'm sitting with like about 1,100, like I said, pages of like people that have actually thrived through these types of transitions before, through these migration trails. And so what it actually is that, and it's about immortality. I mean, that's where I'm at, is in eternal life as well. So the Earth is actually going to do some shifting. In previous documentations, it's about being smart. It's like going to 0 point, what we call the 0 point, the co-creation point again. Things have got to go through, it's like a sine wave. And it's like the Cadius, if you know about that, on the healing symbol. So what happens is we're going through a crossover. It's like crossing the event horizon, as Nassim Harriman would say. But at this point or 0 point, things are going to have to change. And so there's like a cleansing. It's like Noah's Ark and that kind of flooding. This kind of stuff, we are going to see some changes go through. So kind of like the flood is like me doing a colonic, like wash everything through. In here with the people, what's going to happen is that it has been documented, like I said, for times of period, we're expecting a loss of electrical, the grid system. The grid has to go down. It's not self-sufficient. We've got to get something into place a little bit better, like free energy. So let's look at something, what can we replace it with or add it to? The other thing too is that this earth has got to be cleansed. And so it has done this. We're going to be going through another change of it. And so in previous times, there is like a radiation that happens. And so in virtually all the nations I've been to between here and the coast, all the originals, and I mean, doesn't matter if you're white, black, yellow, red, are actually going in and they're actually digging what's called a pit home, or some people call it an underground bunker, but there are many ways to do it. And so they're covering their homes with at least 4 feet of dirt. I've been in many of them and they're sustainable. And this is just smart thinking because it has gone on before. So you can look up pit homes. The other thing too is what's been documented in our books for the clan mothers is that the temperature's gone down to minus 459. So that's pretty darn cold when you get into that absolute 0 points. So what I like to do is actually go in and say, people get prepared, having foods in as well, getting the best foods now, not then, but now, you know, doing stuff like hemp and doing chia seeds, getting dehydrated fruits and berries and getting some of the best stuff ever. This has got to be just excellent. So, you know, when people think about, you know, they're going to transcend or they're going to stay or ascension stuff, ascension means is getting flow and getting flow from where you're blocked at. So I just want to clarify that the earth is going through dramatic changes. I mean, those people that if you're on Great Global Shift, and you could go to www Great Global Shift, because we've had some problems on Facebook with, you know, people hacking in and taking these sites down, removing all of our information off all our walls. So actually stuff that we'd posted for 2-3 months with Patty Broussard has totally disappeared. There's no trace of it. So we started things up, and until I get my, you know, Karen Ann McDonald Clan Mother website up, .info, will be in a while, is that people can go in and go to Facebook and look at, you know, these different sites that have set up. And so one of the ones that have been set up that will answer some of the questions there is the Radiation Graphic Room. That's one too. We're going to be speaking, like I said, tomorrow on the Egalitarian with Susan Singh tomorrow. And they can always go to my websites. I've got 2 as well that deal with a lot of this. So the thing is, it's about being prepared. You know, even like today, I'm staying in Saskatoon. We are home sitting for friends, Scott Triffle and Paige and Kate, because they're out knowing that this shift is coming and that this is not sustainable here. We've got to be into places that you can be self-sustainable. And that's what really being prepared is about. You want to shift and ascend, and that means being self-sustainable. And that means also about the environment. So we're very protective of the environments there. That means composting. It means recycling. It means there's no such thing as garbage. And if people think that they're going to die or they're not, you know, they're having all this fear, they have to go back in and go, why? Because for some of us, we've already basically gone through this. This is not going to be a change for me. You know, we live naturally. So this is not a shift for me. I've already shifted. And so I'm just waiting for almost like everyone else on the other side to say, come on, you know, bring it on. The radiation, there are people that actually thrive. I don't know. Have you heard of the Iradia couple out of Russia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be a superhero too.
There you go. You know, it's the same thing. If people were scared of fire or this radiation coming, well, you know, that's their fear. It's not part of my world, really, Steve. We actually firewalk. I was taught by Gary Young from Young Living Oils. You know, if people are having fear, we actually specialize in something called releasing emotional patterns with essential oils. In fact, you can go to YouTube or look this great book up by Dr. Carolyn Mean. The way to get through into the amygdala, or you want to call it the, you know, third eye, where we store all the memory and the fear, is actually in that area. And the only thing that gets in there properly is actually something called an essential oil. So people that are actually having fear right now should go get a whole bunch of sandalwood. Sandalwood is actually what's coded for that. The other thing too is even the radiation, the radon and plutonium and that type of thing, cesium, those type of things actually affect, as we know, what's called the thyroid or our fifth chakra, 50, call it what we want. But if you're riding a little bit higher and you're really alkaline, then you can use different oils combined, let's say like Sacred Mountain or certain things that are frequency combined for not only chemtrails, biological warfare, but also for radiation. And radiation, there are people that are thriving on this. So this to me is like having the twin ray. Some people think twin flames, that type of thing. When you're cleaned up, law of attraction, let that twin ray come in, or your twin flame. And maybe that's really what they call the two solar or the binary or the two suns are. We can look at it in a lot of ways and have a lot of fun with this. That just means there's more energy and light coming in. And if I'm manifesting that on the outside, holy baby, that's what's coming in on the inside. I think we could have some really fun stuff with this.
Karen, you have you say that you're also into radionics. Do you have a radionics machine?
Absolutely, it's on right now. So actually, as we're talking, okay, I don't want to say just being a woman, but we multitask a lot. So I'm actually doing subspace or remote viewing to people anywhere. So this is the same technology Dr. Bill Nelson.
Did you get your machine from Jeff Harvey?
Actually, no, we didn't. I was one of the original programmers. They used to call us the Saskatoon kind of six out here. I used to go out to Vancouver and Victoria and the PNE and actually unveil medicine of the 21st century. So we're sitting with the Skeel biofeedback. Some people have the indigos, but we've redeveloped William Reich's works and stuff like that, from orgone generators to tachyon energy to radionic scanners, all sorts of things I'm quite familiar with, Rife codes, all sorts of things, potenizers. We can do just about anything. So I use that quite a bit. So in fact, right now as we're talking, I'm actually dealing with someone. So if people want, I do them also through Skype or through Facebook or anywhere. So I might be doing people in, I might be doing Santos while he's on tour, or, could be anywhere. You never know where we go with this. It's a great thing to have when you have the toys, that's for sure. Like right now, I'm sitting on an amethyst crystal bed. I'm in a 2-foot bubble right now that is a negative ionic field that actually is a natural form of radiation. So we're able to take alternating current and use it for our benevolence here. We do grounding technology, things like that. So all the different things are about staying healthy as you can. Using things like shaga, using things like the other thing that's really good is actually raw cacao. For people talk about radiation coming from Fukushima, but we do have to be smart, and that's why we're moving into the area and we've relocated. We've started seeding those gardens 3 years ago. We knew this was coming, and we were already out there. So indoor gardening could be done, by the way. Indoor vertical gardening. You can do sprouting. So for example, we're sprouting lentils here. You can do sunflower seeds. You can do microgreens. There's no reason why you can't have a living garden inside. Those people that are on my Facebook, I've got 2 accounts. One is Karen McDonald, you can follow, or Karen Ann McDonald, you can follow. The other one is Karen McDonald. And there's a picture of myself with David Wolf on there. So
you don't want Facebook to know that you have 2 accounts.
Oh, you know what? To me, there's no secrets, and we have the combination. So it's actually about opening everything up and speaking freely, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing. So I'm not into this. It's like I have as many. In fact, if I could figure out, we're going to get a community thing, account here. So there's unlimited amounts. But what happens is that you'll see a lot of these things, let's say like going into round homes. In our areas, the Sinaic Barter Fair, doing things along that line. So there's what they call time share as well. So we don't use even money. And so you can go in and actually get seeds from other people and create seed libraries, all sorts of things. So someone just asked you about if the pole shift is going to be happening very fast or suddenly or slow. The pole shift is actually coming in, and as time moves, it becomes exponential. And so you're going to start seeing things change more and more dramatically, because we're seeing things kind of like the best of the best and the worst of the worst. This is a time of actually to have great choices. We're seeing the entire spectrum right now. And so, for example, I was out in the bush at to stop the fracking and the uranium and stuff like that's going up here. And I met, and I was gifted by many of the red tribes and the elders that knew about this information with the clan mothers, because you got to remember, a lot of them still hold their clan mothers. This may have been lost information to a large part of the populations, but not out here and not in our area in the Sinaiacs. That was the last land that was ever, it was never lost through war, succeeded, or any of that. So a lot of people still have that original knowledge that, hasn't been beat out of them or put into residential schools. So a lot of this stuff is actually phenomenal. So this pole shift is going to happen at some point, and then we're already seeing it. There's 15,000 lightning strikes already on the West Coast. I don't know how much more it's going to take people to actually start to create the move. We're expecting we could have anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million people coming right into our area alone. And we're expecting people. They will be coming up out of LA. I've got people that this is the kind of life they want to start again. I know people that looked at from the Zeta talks to the Octarians to Ryans to all sorts of one of those 13 different star nations. We're all virtually telling you the same thing. And so the thing is to actually enjoy this. And so where would you want to create this again? And so when it comes over, that pole shift, when the time comes, you've got enough signs right now. And so no different than the people that are in the know as well, that have had some of this information, have been preparing for a long time. They've got underground homes. They've been storing their food storage for years. And so you don't need that much. But, like I said, it's not just a 3-day event, people seem to think. Sometimes these periods have been documented up to 359 days. So, and that is actually, the time is actually directed by the clan mums, by the way, because we have the also ability to play with the weather and stuff. And so those people that aren't familiar, another word that used to be used, actually the Vedic translation of actually a clan mother was actually the angels or the angelic realms. And so they were actually known as the queens of the heaven or the queens of the sea or all sorts of things. So that's what we need to be, I think, focusing on. And so when the pull, flip, and change does happen, you're going to get a period in there, and that will be determinant. So it has changed every time. Like I said, we can go back to 44 AD or all sorts of things, but every pole shift has been totally different. So this one, again, things will be coming in, and this is a good time to be aware that there's a lot of good things, and where can we make the changes in our lives? I'm not so concerned what everyone else is doing. It's what are we doing? So right now, this is our time of, it's like having a child. Like really, Steve, I'm really preparing. It's like I've got a 3-day pack ready to go, so for myself and the children, because we'll feel it. If you're connected to spring water, you're going to feel the vibration, by the way, like the animals do. You'll know when to leave. You're connected back into the heart. And as we're 80% water, if you've got blocks like with fluoride and chlorine in your water, or you've got really acidic water, or you're using artificial water, you're not going to pick up the signals as well as we can, because we're in tune. We're picking up the vibrations. We don't have blocks in this. So I don't have tumors. I don't have gallstones. I don't have 50 pounds overweight. I don't have any chemicals in me whatsoever. No drugs, no prescription to block the signals. And so when we're ready to go, we're ready to go. So, it's coming up pretty quick. There's going to be some dramatic, changes. We can already see the changes in the night skies or in the stars going on. I mean, that's already visual that we can see that, let alone what we're feeling. And I think a lot of people that are in tune, they're feeling this is the time of, I've got to move. There's time to make a change. And so if people want to go with the flow, then they'll be, pretty well out there with us. So, I mean, we'd love to give some consideration that, people and the listeners, Google as you would coming in like a visitor into the area. Take a look at what the Slocan Valley has, what Nelson has, what the SinaiacNations.org has. Take a look at these areas and see where you want to make a change. We know that the actual Earth is going to change. So you can look at from 2015 to the Navy maps, to Skaglin's maps, whatever. It's not going to look the same as we know it. Things are going to come down, things are going to rise up. But in our area, the two mountains actually butt right across to each other. They already went through that in last pole shift, so that's why I'm there. On the ley lines, it's one of the best areas ever. You look at the, Roger Nelson is a friend of mine. He did something called Sacred Shrines and Sites. And you can look at the Grand Teton. There's 9 different vortex points plus 1 on the Earth grid star. Well, that's exactly where we are. So a lot of those points and those vortex things were actually brought to me. So those destiny stones, I've already got them. They're with me. We already know. We've been having these for a lot of years, going in years. So I think that's really important that, people look at these areas of safety. And so I couldn't stay here and raise my children. I knew that years ago. We had to get where there was land, and we've got wood and biodynamics, and the animals go around freely. There's actually the least amount of radiation is in our area because we're actually nestled between the two mountain ranges. And so there's actually areas where you can't even get wireless, which is a good thing because I can go into those areas, and so the smart meters and everything else or HARP are not affecting me there. So, I mean, we know there's something very cool going on because we also have these UFOs showing up all over. And I just found out through doing interesting things that through the cloning and the super soldier programs and stuff is that one of the headquarter bases is at Nelson. So what more could we ask for? We'll be the most protected zone in the entire planet. I
don't know. It seems like you still need to dig a bunker, though.
Well, hey, saying we've got to get stuff. Well, we'll just take them over. But, for other people and stuff like that, too, yes, get an underground home. You can actually do a pit home. The one at the Sinaiacs was done with the youth. It doesn't take long to actually do that or get a backhoe.
Well, I'm just going to use magic. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to use magic. I'm going to put a bubble around me. I'm not going to be affected by radiation, and I'll just beam into a whole different timeline.
Hey,
hang on a second, Karen. Don't get carried away. We're getting close to the end of the hour, so before the music starts, I'm real quick. I want to give everyone out the call-in number one more time because I want to remind you guys that this is your chance to call in, talk to Karen, give her a hard time, call me, give me a hard time, whatever. Say hello. We want to hear from you. The call-in number, area code 310-421-4053. I hope I got that right, Richard. Correct me if I got it wrong. I think that's the right call-in number. Anyway, like I said, when you hear the music, I know you guys that are listening to this stuff on YouTube, you don't hear the break, but those of you that are listening, quite a few more people listening to this show live, so you'll hear the music start pretty soon. Okay, Karen, I've wasted enough time. Let's see, we've got about 6 minutes before the break, so real quick, anything you want to say before we start taking callers?
Well, I think one of the things that would be really good is for people really to enjoy this time. I'm going to really encourage people that they start making the shift now, not later.
Oh, hell yeah. I agree.
And, it's about getting into the basics of how time actually functions. So, I mean, if we're in the present and in the now, the future looks after itself. So there's an equation that's in the Clan Mother's book, and it's true. The present minus the past equals the future. So I'll just say that again. The present, where you're at now, minus the past ways of doing it, is going to equal your future. So what we're doing is we're actually adding into what we know already. And this is where we go into these times of enjoyment. And, I've got the calendar adjustments to 666. I know how to convert and change those calendars over. So I really want people to look at and do some of their own home studies right now. Get some essential oils into place. Make yourself feel better. Get an enema colonic. Do a liver gallbladder cleanse. People that are angry and in the lower vibration, you can do an overnight liver gallbladder cleanse. Get some litmus paper. We have to move some of our people's pH. They're peeing and it's like 6. Well, that's nowhere close to even neutral. And so just taking some baking soda or baking soda molasses every day. These are simple things to get you through the shift. And do some deworming, deparasiting. It's like defragging your system. That water coming in and the floods and the glacier thing, this place here was underwater. This is not the place to be. So make some of those informed decisions. I really think this is an internal purification. The purification by fire, well, fire is like the burning in hell, and that means your pH is very acidic. So that vibration is exactly where you're at. So if you flip the chakra chart the other way and look at the colors on it, that's what your pH litmus paper is. So we can tell exactly where you're at. So,
that's an interesting parallel that you're drawing there.
Yeah, we actually know this. This is actually how we teach stuff when we teach raw foods, superfoods. Start getting, even David Wolf has got to the point, how we're going to get to the people. He's become the NutriBullet spokesboy right now. But it's working. It's getting people through the shift. We can get them alkalized in less than a month right now. You can reverse just about any disease in a month and get people off meds if you know what you're doing.
Okay, Karen, I know you see this. People want to know how, they want to know about your children. Tell us about your children.
Oh, awesome. Okay. We are so excited, actually. So we are out here. So make a long story short, many years ago. Okay. We've got 2 children, no kids, but Allie's 20 roughly, and Alex is around 19. So make a long story short, their dad was a lawyer and Jesuit trained and all that things in Saskatoon. And so we had the biggest thing you've ever seen in the court. So we're really getting our reunion back. So we're actually taking these children and having the best time ever. So I've still got to deal with Allie a little bit, but Alex was here, moved in with me. So best roommate ever. You know, we're the happiest mom in the entire universe right now, let me tell you. You know, so he's in here with me and we're watching him go through this shift. I've seen him already go through his shift here.
So have you got people watching you do your interview right now?
Actually, no, he's upstairs. We're home sitting for friends. And what's really strange, Steve, is that where we delivered him was across the street, exactly across the street. I'm 6 blocks from the university. I said, Alex, energetically, you're having a new life. We're giving you a second chance. We're being given a second chance here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, break time. Okay. Mute your microphone. We will be back very soon. Don't go away, everybody. Stay with us.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
What are we supposed to do?
I'm gonna fight, because I'm used to it. The rest of you are gonna have a tougher choice. And look, I don't want to sell it to you. It's too ugly for that. And it's ugly, and it's hard. But when you're fighting in your own backyard, you're fighting for your family, it all hurts a little less and it makes a little more sense. But for us, this is our home. Even the tiniest flea can drive a big dog crazy. So the first thing we have to do is learn how to work together. Become a unit. And that's going to take some time. So we're going to have to evolve. Rewire our reflexes. Learn new skills and adapt old ones. So we'll find people we can trust. Friends with their ears to the ground who can help us get the things we need to fight back. Watch what they do. Study their tactics, their routines. The more we know, the easier it will be to hurt them. But we'll need to be smart, and we'll need to be patient. We'll hit them on our terms. When we're good and ready. We inherited our freedom. Now it's up to all of us to fight for it.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, where the fight begins and information never sleeps.
Enjoy your
extra big-ass fries.
You didn't give me no fries. I got an empty box.
Would you like another?
Extra big-ass fries.
I said I didn't get any.
Thank you. Your account has been charged. Your balance is 0. Please come back when you can afford to make a purchase.
No.
I'm sorry you're having
trouble.
trouble.
Come on. My kids are starving.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, but above all, we believe in freedom of existence through self-reliance. This station is 100% listener-supported, and as a fundraising promotion, I have a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if food prices go crazy, the shit hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our seed pack special. Just just look for the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need, as humans, to start taking care of ourselves and not depending on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning how to do everything website all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What we do in life, it goes in eternity.
Would be me, Wild Bill Samsel, your host of the Samsel Report. Join me for Wild Bill's Headline Roundup every Saturday night, right here on Revolution Radio.
Welcome to a new experience at Revolution Radio, Fridays 2 to 4 p.m., Tertiary Vision with Alex and Leah. We'll deeply explore topical issues affecting everyone on the planet. We'll research given narratives and subject matter with a view to crafting such info in a manner that we hope will be digestible and interesting. It's easy to give opinions, but what really lies beneath the surface? What are we really seeing in the world, and what does it mean? So, take this walk with us, Alex and Leah. Tertiary Vision. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com.
This is Dr. Rebecca Carley reporting from Revolution Radio, where my show, What's Ailing America, is on every Saturday at 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B. I will answer the question, What's Ailing America, according to my 16 years of research, as well as why things are as they are. I will arm you with the truth as to why vaccines are actually bioweapons causing all diseases in internal medicine. You will also learn about invaluable solutions available to help you and your loved ones. I love to answer the questions of listeners, and I invite you to join in the discussion with me and my guests.
So we'll see you Saturday at 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Studio B, Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps. Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. If you plan to call in and speak with one of our hosts, please turn down your radio and separate yourself from any background noise and wait for the area code to be called on before you speak. And don't forget, Revolution Radio freedomslips.com is listener supported. So stop by the homepage, freedomslips.com, visit the site support area to help support the host you're listening to's airtime. Thank you. Revolution Radio freedomslips.com, where the truth never sleeps.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I love the way the music stops right when I start talking. I kind of fight with the music a little bit. Anyway, welcome back. We're still here with Karen Ann McDonald, and my producer Richard. Before we get back into the conversation, I want to remind everybody that we are ready to start taking calls right now. Please call in. The number is 310-421-4053. And if you write that down, that is the standard call-in number for Studio B, and the only time we ever change it is if we have a number that goes directly to the producer. But you can always reach us if you use that number, so write it down and save it. And I want to remind everybody, please friend me on Facebook. I'm easy to find, Stephen D. Kelly, Kelley. I've got room for at least another 1,000 people, so please friend me. Also, I know, Karen, you've got 2 Facebook pages, but you're probably pretty filled. Also, I want to remind everybody that this station, Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, has a Facebook page, and there are only 1,000. Last time I looked, there was 1,085 likes. And, you know, these sort of pages, we can have 100,000 people liking that page. So all of you that are out there listening to this right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's 2, 3, 4, 500,000 people listening right now, possibly even 1 million, who knows. You guys that are on, obviously half of you are listening to the show on the internet, so I would like you to try to find us on Facebook, find me on Facebook, friend me, and certainly friend the station, because we always post what's happening with the shows on the station, and it's a great way to stay in touch with us and be informed about what's coming. And I just love seeing all those people paying attention to it. So please, wait. Looks like we have a different call-in number. I'm going to give you a different call-in number because apparently the one that we gave out is not working. So write this down. Area code 206-855-3056. We also have a Skype number. Richard, if you could give me that Skype contact again real quick if people want to Skype into the show.
Okay, I'm thinking that if they can Skype me too if they want, Monster 383.
Okay.
And that'll be the best way for now, because I'm not even sure if Freedom Screen 2 is forwarded to me or not. But just to play it safe, they can add Monster 383 as a contact, and I can drag him into the call.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Anyway, we love to take calls. So, I mean, I do. It's my show, and I really enjoy having you guys call in. Karen, I'm sure you'd like to talk to some people out there. I know you've got some fans listening, so tell your fans to call in, okay? Come on, Karen. Tell them to call in.
You know what they have here is it's called Ring Those Phones. Ring those phones.
Everybody's afraid. They don't want to hear their voice on the radio. They think, it's like, my God, okay, so we've got 1 million people listening. Come on, hear your voice on the radio. It's going to be there forever. Right?
Yeah. We're really open to taking any kind of questions. A lot of people are really interested in some of the things we've done as, sending these proclamations out and, doing things from that. But, how we can all get, involved in our local communities and where are some of the better places to go. But, really it's about having fun and like doing meditation and relaxing and doing things along this line.
Tantra?
Absolutely.
We got a call. We got our first caller. Wonderful. All right, Karen, hang on just a second. Okay, caller, area code 513. Please say hello and give us your name and tell us where you're calling from.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm Steve. I'm calling from Ohio.
Hey, Steve.
I'm trying to figure out more about the pole shift. What stages are we in? I'm trying to figure what stage are we in. I need a little bit more detailed information, and if you could share that with me, I'd really appreciate it. I got my shotgun right here just in case something happens and the power goes out.
Oh, jeez.
So could you elaborate? I appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It really is about a time of peace, and actually that was part of the thing too, is that people realize about being in peace is actually a peace treaty that actually extends worldwide, globally, and internationally, and intergalactically as well.
Let me interrupt this one question. And also, where is it flipping to? Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay. One of the things too is that to do with that pole shift, we're going to encourage everyone to really be at peace. And part of the actual cleanliness and part of those treaties is to actually disarm the planet. So there are no weapons of mass destruction. So those are kind of the things that we'll be going in with those treaties right now. One of the things too is the pole shift is about being at peace and not at war ourselves. So the pole shift information, it is already happening. It's in a matter of state, and I don't want to get into dates because it's like having a child things are changing and fluxing. So we're going by the signs right now. And so the different areas right now with the pole shift, you can see the signs. We're already in it. It's not a matter, is it coming the 26th? Is it going to be the 1st and everything else? And we know that stuff is going to be happening before what we call the winter count and different things along that line, which is before into December. So there isn't an actual per se date. Don't think of it like that. It's a time window or a time of enlightenment, and it's doing things, and that's what the shift is. I don't want to think of people like as in bipolar inside themselves, but you're doing a planetary alignment, and that going through the photon belt, it's already happening right now. People are being affected right now as it's going. So we're going to start seeing that once the magnetic poles come in. And if you want some more information, you can go into basically Patty Broussard's site, and I have admin privileges, by the way. So we have put our information into there. So you could go to one of the ones on Facebook is Evolution Human Race. And then the other one that we have is Radiation Graphic Room. You can go right to Patty Broussard's Facebook account. Mine, by the way, you can follow on Karen Ann McDonald, but I just set up a brand new account so I can still take room for another couple thousand, which is at the Karen McDonald one. So I do want to encourage people to go there. We are posting those things as things are coming in. Patty's got excellent equipment, and there's many things like Dutch Sing. There's like probably about 6 or 8 sites we're all pulling in here. So we can find the pole shift information.
Hello? I'm sorry I got cut off. I had a couple more questions. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve. She's been answering your question all this time, but hang in there.
No, I got cut off some kind of way. I don't know what happened. I'm very sorry. I had a couple more questions. She sounds very intelligent. I like her, and I like what she's saying. I just have a couple more questions. Can I ask a couple more?
Go for it.
Certainly, yeah. Right. What would you like to ask?
I appreciate it. The common ISON, where it's coming across, they said between now and December, do you think it's going to have any kind of like small meteors or asteroids when it flips around the sun and comes back around in December? Just what you thought about that. Thank you.
Okay, well, may I thank you too, Steve? And this is for everyone out there. I just want to make a clear statement. When we do things, I want to thank everyone, and that we're speaking freely here, and that we do things in peace, love, and unity for the benevolence of all without any commerce. That's what the original peace agreement is. So we say, Ia, Asha, Ihi. So we want to welcome everyone on board. This is a time of doing things in peace. The comets that are coming in, there are many meteors and stuff already breaking up and showing around on the planet. And so ICON and stuff like that are actually code names and projects as well. So many people, whether you want to think of it as Nibiru or Comet Alcyon, there's a whole bunch of things coming in. It's also one of the very coolest thing, like I said, if you go to, it's the Facebook site that we have is the Evolution Human Race one, is we've got all that information actually posted for you. So it's probably the best hour you could do is to spend looking at that and look at the home studies that we have there. So that pole shift is coming, and it's already here. And so there's also talk too that comet also has the potential to be as well as like what's called a notosphere or biosphere. So if you want to go to, it's called lawoftime.org, and it's the 1320, but it talks about the biosphere, the noospheres and stuff too. And so get yourself into really good alignment and get yourself into alignment. You want to move yourself into what's called the 4th D, or like heart chakra, or 50, or I guess, Steve, you talked about, density and stuff too.
Can I ask you one more question? I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't mean to be so rude. I just wondered, if a number 7 person, I got my number 7 person, and so is J Lady. I just wondered, if we're going to be going into this kind of if we're going to be going this kind of stream, what exactly is going to come on December 16th? Thank you.
Okay. Again, a lot of these things are planetary alignments that have been pre-looked at and stuff like that. I'm not getting, again, into the dates, and that's why a lot of people are like, so-and did this, or Patty didn't say that, or whatever, is that these dates are just tentative figures, and things do actually change. And so those dates coming in, again, are where that we just need to be aware of. And it's no different than if you look at the Hopi and the Mayan prophecy rock. People are being given a chance right now. And if they're not going to adhere to those original peace laws, those peacekeepers are being put into place right now, and directives are being given by the clan mothers that oversee what we call in the first world. So we're classified as a noble savage. So someone just asked if we're a star seed. The star nations are star seeds. We're seeded here. We're elected and we're chosen. Where do we come from? The Creator, directly. And so we have no diseases. We're in alignment. We're attuned. We're at one. And so a clan mother is actually the first and eldest and the female. And so there's some very cool things that way. So that is part of the information. Our bloodlines are off what you call Cirrus, and actually Regulus is mine.
Thank you for that, Karen.
I don't mean
Steve?
to interrupt you again. Just one more thing. You are so interesting. I mean, you're one of the most interesting persons I've ever listened to. You have great insight. I really appreciate that. Being a number 7 guy and also as 11J lady, we're both number 7 people, Leos. What do you see coming in December for both of us? Thank you, and I'll be done with the call. And thank you for everything. Thank you very much.
I'm going to laugh because I'm actually not a person. If you know about international law, which is what we share, because remember, this was a hidden law that was kept, like Elizabeth acted as a clan mom to her tribe, just like we are. And we're first people that are self-sustaining. So we're not here to, like I said, do that. And a person, by the way, just so you know, it's in the corpus juris secundum, what they call second world, is a public. That's where people got into birth certificates and stuff, or private, where people oversaw them in the caste system. A third world would be an inhabitant, which is what they call a prisoner of war. So someone that's abdicated and came away from the clan mom system, lost all their freedoms, as the second and third world have. So the different things that we see coming in for those people into those times are coming into alignment. And so making sure, if you've looked at Santos, Stephen would know, we had just the greatest time with Santos as well. And Santos, in fact, he's so interesting that when he was in Dublin, the Irish police shut down one of our talks there too. But Santos and he's also been very instrumental in assisting for some of the things that we're doing as well. And in there, if you look at where we are in the planetary alignment and you look at the sine wave and the ley lines, you'll see that the crown chakra, or the top here, is really in the area where we are. So, if you want to actually go into some, like, the top place to be, and you want to get to
That's awesome. I just want to give a shout in for Cat Eyes 5. Just one more shout in for Cat Eyes 5, and I'll say good night. Thank you for your time. I really enjoyed listening to you.
Good night, Steve. We're going to move to the next caller here. Karen, hang on. Area code 818. Are you there? Please say hello.
Yes,
Tell us.
I'm here.
Tell us your name
Hi.
and where you're calling from.
Hi, dear Karen. My name is Arizu, and I'm calling from Orange County, California.
Oh my gosh, it's you!
Wait a minute.
Hi, my dear. Yeah, I know it's funny because I kept my cell phone. I moved to LA recently.
Okay.
You're live and not texting. Okay, this is cool. I just got to show you. This woman has been emailing me stuff back and forth, and she was prepared to fly in for the Alchemy event. So we're one of the guest speakers again. If you go to the www.alchemyevent.com for October 4th, 5th, and 6th in actually Los Angeles. So this woman was prepared to come see me there to give me a hug.
Yes, just to give her a hug and feel her heartbeat next to mine. You're amazing, Karen. You brought a new light into my life, and I appreciate you so much, my dear, so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything you've done. And sweetheart, I have a question, and it's regarding ascension. And I was listening to Patty the other night on her show, and she mentioned about FEMA camps. And I was wondering if, in case they force you to go to those FEMA camps and you refuse to go, they might be, they might be shooting you or something. She said that you have to follow them. If you don't, I want to know, if you get shot at, if you refuse to go, would you still be able to ascend?
Okay, I think that, again, trying to keep away from the fear base, if we could address that to start with. The FEMA camps, you're going to remember there's a peace law, and a lot of people, tend to think that the peace laws mean that it's all warm and fuzzy. Well, in fact, what it means is that people haven't been at peace with themselves internally. They're not having peaceful foods. They're not at peace with the environment. They're not composting. They're putting stuff into there. So the people that this is going to be that's the pole shift. It means doing things in an enlightened way and coming back to practicing what we call universal or natural law. So for me to do this cosmically, there is no change. We've already done our ascension. We're there. And so for the people here, again, is to get into areas of safety. And when you have and know how to deal with these people, there's an art to talking to a police officer, but actually they've got an oath as a peacekeeper. And it's all about love and respect. So my recommendation is I always have love and respect for, my brothers and sisters. I'm not dealing with them as a uniform per se, but I'm dealing with them as beings or men and women. So again, to get into an area that would be healthier, Orange area or Anaheim or wherever you're in, that's not a safe zone. It's not. So I would encourage, I know there's people talking from the Alchemy event that are talking literally about getting buses, and literally you might have to come with a backpack. But I think it's a lot smarter to think about where could I go that's in the best place ever, as opposed to wanting to go to a FEMA camp because people haven't been able to look after themselves. That is for people that, again, what are we going to do with people that there is a global catastrophe coming? And so there are people being put into place, and people, let's say, that are at the Homeland Security, is that people haven't done their home studies. You don't know where you come off of, what your tribes are, how we deal with people. And to get into the crown as a noble savage, we know who we are, where we came off of, and we're practicing natural law. So we're already the peacekeepers, and we actually, as clan mothers, technically direct and command the military and the armies of the world. So right now, what I'm doing with these proclamations is letting them know where we are and how to help.
I had to call back. It's so good of a show. Can I talk to you for a moment?
Steve, can you hang on a second?
You
Steve,
want to get crazy?
Steve,
does ascension mean the same thing as rapture? I don't know what ascension means. Does it mean the same thing as rapture? You want to get crazy?
One of the things too, people use the word salvation, rapture, ascension. It actually means health. And that's what health and healing is. So I think what people have to do is get themselves healthy. That's ascension. Ascension is a vibration. It's about being at love. Love is part of the ascension process, or being in your heart. So, whether we're doing different breathing and meditation, but if you're in your heart, you love yourself. We know we're the best, and that there's no such thing as second best. So even for me, I wouldn't think of even having, you can even give me I don't really want organics. I want superfoods. I want the best foods ever right now, because there's virtually no nutrition in the soils. We are looking at transitioning to what you call a Solarian breatharian. So I can go for actually weeks without water and food. We can do things like even urine therapy. There's all sorts of things as yoginis, or practicing these different original wise ways of living. And I think that's what we have to look at. That's what really ascension is. And I don't like to go as ascending as you're ascension. It's an ascension process. You're doing an internal journey. And sometimes the longest journey can be between the head and the heart, is that we have been like computers programmed inappropriately. We've been vaccinated, all sorts of things, but that doesn't mean that that's the way you have to live. And so to have an ascension is to be in the right place. So if you go back to Santos's different things, Universal Truth School, astral theology, learn what these things actually mean. So the people that are in those areas protecting them, so we're protectors of the earth and the water. We're going to, look after that. We gave oath that, we're going to do that in the area. And that area and land has been protected from all time and even eternity. So people that want to have their ascension are going to go to the best places ever on the planet. And if you know where that is, just like is in chakras or lane lines, it's where we're sitting right now. So we've got the best hot springs, the best lithium, the best water, the best foods for starting over. Actually, it was, you can't get EMF in some areas. There's monatomic minerals. We got the highest concentration of lithium. We're going to be the highest people in the entire planet. So if you know where the ascension area is, it's in the upper northwest where we are. So that's really what it is. So ascension is health, and health is being healthy, and it's doing things in a smarter way. So that's where really start looking at the raw and the superfoods, because you can make a big change just in the way you think. You want to ascend, it's about vibration. Your food is energy or light. So get the best enlightened food possible. You know, that makes the difference. That's what ascension is. It's an ascension. And so people that cannot hold the vibration of what's going through this new information age is that they're not going to make it themselves. And that is a natural part of the process. It's all about universe and balancing. And so we call it homeostasis. So inside, if one organ or planet doesn't align up, then the other planets are in trouble. And right now, those that are in alignment are going to be having the best time ever. That's why we're having a good time, you know, and we'd like people to join with us. That's what the rapture is. You know, call it to heaven, call it whatever you want, whether we say lighting the seventh fire or the eighth fire, but coming off the grid is really what it is, coming off the matrix, seeing through the illusion. We don't use birth certificates. They're not mine. I'm not a driver. I'm not a slave. What is freedom? But freedom is that you're able to know what those peace laws are and be at peace. And so what we are is we're raising the bar. We know what those laws are, and that's what we live. And so I don't let anyone into my environment that's going to pollute my environment or myself or the lands around us or the waters. So, you know, if you want to ascend, you want to be off medications, off blocks, off tumors, off gallstones, have your waters flow. You know, get into thing. You can change your entire life just by changing out your water. So, you know, look where your springs are. Go to findaspring.com. I think that's huge. You know, people talk about sovereignty. Well, to be a sovereign means that you're still reigned over. It's like a caste system. There's only 3 sovereign states, and quite frankly, I don't want to be part of them. That's bank accounts. That's all sorts of de facto stuff. But to have freedom in tribal law is you got to learn that. We're all off one of the tribes. We're all off one of those 13 nations. We're all genetically related. It's the Genome Project. And so it's just coming back to doing things and about each individual coming back into balance. So this time that's coming in, we're not here against the system. We're just here to bring balance back to an imbalanced system that was ours to start with. You have everything inside you. Muscle test. You are it. You are the universe. Be it.
Okay, Karen. I want to thank the caller. Caller, I appreciate you calling. We have another caller, Karen. Hang on. I just want to I want to remind the callers that when we bring you on, please wait until we mention your area code before you say anything. I see you 707. No, did we just lose 707? Okay. Anyway, again, please, when we take your call, just kind of sit and stand by and don't say anything until we address you by your area code. But anyway, 818, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but I do appreciate you calling.
Thank you so much, Stephen, and thank you so much, Karen. Much love to both of you.
You have a great day. Thank you for calling.
This woman's
You
amazing.
too.
Yeah, she's actually
love.
Yeah, she actually sent me stuff. We do tribal, like belly dancing, all sorts of stuff. But these dances that the woman held, just like and I want to make this very clear to people, because they're saying, where's your this and how do you get this? We are elected and we're chosen. Everyone has the ability to do what we're doing, and maybe even better than what we've done, actually, at some point. But right now is that a lot of this stuff that we're bringing forth, we were trained and shared things through different leaders in their communities and in their tribes and in their nations and other clan mothers. So it's not about being red. So make this very clear. We're part of the white tribes. And mine go back to Cleopatra and those type of things and those treaties that go back thousands and thousands of years, because we have our own internal peace things. This is where people are not using cash. This is where people don't use taxes, because we treat each other the way that we're supposed to be treated. And so this woman actually was incredible. She sent a picture of one of her relatives doing one of the dances. Well, they're still stoning and beheading people for bringing this kind of information. No different than the Argentina tango, no different than the winter count dance, or what people called the ghost dance up here in the sun dances. You know, people don't realize, like, you know, Richard, not far from him, actually, 100 mile up that way in Williams Lake was something called Gustafson Lake, where the different people, the RCP came in, and there was about 19 different people in around 1993, 94, somewhere in that range. And they shot 20,000 rounds at these people, and they only grazed one.
Karen, we have a caller. Caller 818,
so,
thank you. We're going to take this next caller, Karen, if you're ready. Area code 260. Please say your name and where you're calling from.
Danelle from Indiana.
Hi, Danelle. Would you have a call? You have a question for Karen?
Yes, I do. She said something about drinking urine. I was wanting to know what that was about.
Urine therapy. Yeah, there's quite a few people that are following that. Karen, I think she may have just fallen off. We're going to get her back real quick. But you know, yeah, there are quite a few people that are preaching that doctrine. I don't do it myself, but
that's not healthy.
Well, a lot of people out there would claim that it is actually very good for you. Again, I'm not a proponent, so I'm certainly not going to tell you to start doing it.
Oh, I'm not.
Karen, or I'm sorry, Richard, looks like we're going to get her back. Oh, there we are. Karen, are you back?
We're back, willing and able to rock and roll tonight.
Well, you know, Karen, we just had an interesting question here. I'm going to leave that to you because this is not my area of expertise, but the caller was asking about urine therapy.
Urine therapy? Sure. Absolutely.
Go for it.
Yeah. Well, basically what's happening is that, and we do practice it, but if you look at actually, you can take your first morning urine, and some people dilute it and drink it right back. But a lot of people have been dealing also successfully with my girlfriend, Roxanne, is actually out of Penticton. She's one of the forerunners too with Morgellons. It works wonderfully. I've done that as well myself on that type of thing. So that actually helps. And so you're basically
drink urine.
Do we drink urine? Actually, we do. And it's actually a good thing. People should be saving and composting and recycling it. It's a great thing to dilute and stick back into your plants, by the way, for the nutrients. But it is actually sterile. And actually what you're doing is the system, it's a old Vedic technique even taught by the military. And so do your own research. It's phenomenal. It as part of the youth thing, just like actually colonics. A lot of people, when I ran my colonic and quantum medical centers, and we actually pioneered many forms of quantum medicine, by the way. And we're asked to develop actually the curriculums for like universities. So on that particular thing is that it's an amazing way to do this healing. And so urine could be used for many purposes, but the same thing like colonics, if you want to have youthing and you don't want to have wrinkles, it's amazing. So I would recommend start doing your own research on that. But that's what, again, being a yogini, or like what people say practicing yoga, it's a way of life. It's breathing, it's pranayama, it's physical, mental, emotional. And so the people that have done that have had high success of longevity. Someone asked here, I've just got a thing up here about not using money. How do we travel in conferences and stuff? We don't pay for the internet. We actually, in the area, we are developing actually our own internet services. So we are getting prepared for, in the change of times through the pole shift, that we'll actually have our own internet services and stuff there. A lot of people are gifting, and so the original law is called the law of gift. We have the right angles, the GAO. And so if you go to Meredith Quinn, and he was actually the legal law advisor for the Dakotas, but he was off the Eagle Clan. And if you know about the government and the eagle has landed and the different symbology, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Meredith Quinn has the books from in my possession. I've got the Great Musa or Moses and stuff that a lot of people have never seen. And actual symbols that were actually taken out of the Aztec calendar that I've got the actual stuff here. The law is to gift, just like our ancestors did. There was life before birth certificates and de facto paper money, which is like wrecking and clear cutting our lands that we don't want. At this time, we do traveling. We're looking, if I'm traveling in town here, I actually have a bike. We'll be looking at free energy machines. We're looking at all sorts of cool magnetic ones. We've got wind. We've done some solar recently. We've also looking at the magnetics, which are phenomenal, and we've got microhydrants. So that's the advantage of being in our areas, that we've got use of free energy. We don't use commerce. We don't use anything de facto. I don't have a bank account, anything like that. That's not part of the system. If you don't want to be part of the system, then don't. We actually set one of the precedent cases for not even having to file. So a lot of people, if you aren't even aware of that, and again, get rid of the country thing, that the borders are irrelevant. I mean, there are people that know how to talk, know what to say, and don't use passports. So again, it's a way of knowing who you are, and no one has jurisdiction on me. On this, these things are actually gifted to me. So right now, I have my own land, and I don't mean I pay taxes or anything, or you're doing like homesteader things. The Crown land is titled and held in reserve for the clan mothers to use. So that is actually, you're on my planet and on my universe right now. And so what we're doing is we're looking at that on how to start bringing this in so that we free up the information. What we're doing is giving you information that has been held, classified, treaties were signed in the Vatican, like the Treaty of Tordesillas, so that people would be killed so that you would never have this. The Vatican literally made, stipulations and secret societies so that you would never, ever, ever know about that. Does that make sense?
I guess if somebody likes to sit around and drink tea, I think you're all on crack then.
Well, part of the thing is that a lot of the stuff too is having natural teas and stuff like that. Like we just grew our own and pick our own and getting into all sorts of things. So what do I eat on a daily basis? That's a good question. This is what my days kind of look like. How's that? Life in the fast lane here, so to speak. Depends where I am at the time. But let's say for today, for example, Alex and I went outside. We did some yoga for a while. We did some grounding. We were out gardening. So we're teaching him how to garden. This is new to him, but I mean, I've been doing seeding and that type of thing. So we're out gardening so that he can do some juicing and get his health and regain that back. And then we went in, we were doing some stuff with Lucas through Skype. So we spent a little bit of time because even Alex right now is being instrumental with photography and designs and assisting us to put these valuable books. It's kind of like the Dead Sea Scrolls back together for all of you and get it out free. Then what we do, if I am doing stuff, I do meditation and yoga for hours. I might do some light reading. So I was showing him or teaching him raw foods. We teach a lot of raw foods and superfoods. So we might be doing juicing. So we juiced up actually like beet and celery and carrot today and a little bit of stuff. So we had that. We did some alkalization with apple cider vinegar. Might be making sure I've got my baking soda going. And then again, we have all natural clothing. So do that type of thing and making sure all the, everything's natural, all is organic. We have hemp clothing, that type of thing. And again, it depends what we're doing. So today we're speaking to you guys. And tomorrow I have to speak. I've got another one to do with Susan Singh on Facebook at the Equalitarian. And then I've got to do the Body Soul Spirit here in Saskatoon. So you guys are welcome if you're in there and around, but the Body Soul Spirit Expo.com. And so people provide these things for free. They gift me as we give back. So a lot of times it's community contribution.
Karen, Karen, can I put you on the spot?
Oh, you want to put me on a spot?
I want to put you on the spot.
Do you?
Is that okay?
You want to have a question? Go right ahead. What's the question?
Yes. Talk to us about hemp.
Hemp. Yeah, let's talk hemp.
Let's talk hemp.
Let's talk hemp. Let's talk the Hempire. Joseph Mark Cohen is so cool. He's like one of the greatest Kabbalistic guys actually out just north of Nelson. Rishak Light One was there. These guys were instrumental in the Kootenays. So if you're not familiar for where we are, we're in, they said, Karen, we're going to call it the Hempire for you because we're bringing the Hempire back. And we have places like Still Eagle. So for example, when I use paper, my documents go on hemp paper. We are with Charles Holmes of Conscious Planet and Hempco, great friends of mine. We're sitting with the first set of stuff. I was probably one of the first ones to start doing hemp juicing and raw hemp juicing in enemas and colonics, by the way. That's what we did in December when we were having that 11-day intensive and wellness centers. Hemp is phenomenal. I would love to have it actually as an essential oil. So just like I use frankincense and myrrh and like Gary Young, using those kind of oils with raindrop technique and things and taking those internally. Hemp is phenomenal. The ORP or antioxidant reduction potentials are phenomenal on this. But you know what? So are a lot of things. And the only thing I've ever seen in dealing with a lot of people when I've done healing with them, and a lot of people that were end stage, we get results with everything. And so people were doing things like Phoenix Tears. I think it's still one thing better than obviously coming off drugs, but you can also get addicted to that too. And so one of the things too is we're doing a lot of people that we've got a lot of that hemp, but it's not the same hemp or cannabis that was actually initially around. And you got to remember, this has been hybrid and still changed, and some of the 4 different breeds that were allowed off. But I'm big into hemp, doing protein. So it's not necessary for everyone. And I have seen people actually react to that. But used in combinations, absolutely phenomenal. So actually one of the best gifts ever, Rishak Light One, he was phenomenal in hemp. He was one of the first ones with him and like David Wolf, myself, Charles Holmes, going out to the fields here. Actually, we were north of Saskatoon is actually when we were the largest actually kind of industrial hemp here that we're using, but doing hemp clothing. You know, we've got to go back to using the hemp. That is our bread and butter. That's community contribution. If you were not actually growing these things, you were considered to be libelous and in fact could be charged for not contributing to the community. I think those are things we've got to look back at coming into being self-sustained. So whether it's clothes, medicine, food, there are a lot of things we could be doing. Jules Delaney has got Flying Cow Lavender Farms. We've got 2 stills out there. We're one of the few areas for essential oils that we can actually start doing off the trees and off the plants there. So we're in the best spot either. So whatever goes down, with pole shifts and down the road, we're going to be the forerunners and leading in eco homes and like Mandela homes and round homes, and coming back to what eco dynamics is. The people in those areas, we don't use passports. As I said, we don't have to. And there's lots of my friends that don't. They know who they are. And when you know tribal law and you know that you're a noble savage and you've done your home studies, then we are actually above the people that actually work for us in the corpus juris secundum in those particular different areas. And you've got to remember, this is going to start affecting everyone. None of those people want to be paying taxes and stuff like that. The PPSAs and UCC1s, all those trust things and the One People's Trust, there is no trust. There's going to be no birth certificate. There's going to be no money. And you're going to have to learn how to start loving one another as we love you, which means we gift. And so even to this day, we do a lot of things. I will do biofeedback for people. We do it for gifting, and they might send me some essential oils or something, or they're providing food, or they might provide that transportation right now. That's about passing it forward. And we are going to be getting all the new technologies. It's not that it's new, it's just being remembered or reintroduced. All this technology is there. And I've seen stuff that would blow most people's minds right now. I've seen a lot of this technology actually firsthand. I've been able to utilize it and see it. So, you can use the ground as a battery, for that matter. You can use the trees. You've got all the electrolytes and minerals and stuff that are actually in the earth itself. And this is really about being free. So if I'm going to make some peanut butter cookies, they're going to be raw. I've got the best raw peanut butter cookies, jungle peanuts, almond things. If people want to start looking at some really cool recipes, is look at things like Nouveau Raw amazing, all sorts of stuff. So when I get out and I get to see Richard, and you know what, I don't even want to go down to the coast because I know what and my sister's in Vancouver on Homer Street. They couldn't get me down to LA. I don't even want to go to the coast right now or even on Vancouver Island because of the radiation levels. I know what's going on here. And so, when you can make raw food, you actually sustain yourself, and it's an amazing process. So, give me a blend deck. Like right now, we could use a blend deck. I don't have a problem putting out there what's useful right now. I've got a juicer. We've got this and that. I'm waiting for my NutriBullet to come in this week. So, I'll do a couple different Skype sessions for people and do biofeedback. And so they will send me things off David Wolf's, let's say, Longevity Now, to get us like raw cacao and things like that. So we expect the best and we get it. We get the best goji berries. We get the best Himalayan salt. I'm really going to encourage people to get Himalayan salts. Make Soleil. It's SOLE. Google this up. What people are missing is the minerals that are not being absorbed in their bowels. And we put it right back in. Google what a colonic is. Let's not be anal. That's the key to longevity. It's like basically 3 colonics will clean out a chakra. You want to clean and get your ascension? get about a dozen colonics and talk to us. You've ascended. You've gone through there. Not anything stopping you. Everything's connected to that bowel, physically, mentally, emotionally. Not anything's going to hold you back. You won't have any infections, any stones, any tumors, and all the guys would have the best love ever, and women. You know, that's as tantric as
I'm sorry. Wait, you got my attention. Wait a second. Hang on.
That's the best ever.
Okay. I'm sorry, Karen. Who's administering these colonics?
Actually, we do. You can self-administer yourself if you've got a colonic machine. An enema bag is self-administered, but colonic machines, we actually do our own. They're actually.
Are you having group colonic sessions or what?
You're gonna laugh. I actually have discreetly, but again, no one has to see anything. You actually can be closed.
Richard, I think we need to go check this place out.
You're right.
I think so.
You're right. We took 11 people, and we had the best colonic practitioners
Check
ever.
out some hemp products, have a colonic.
Exactly.
Now you're talking.
Food.
You talked to Rich Jack Lightwand. I mean, those and Dan Nelson and everything else. Even David Wolf stays up where we're up there. Eventually, what we're going to do, my desire in talking is to get some of the best health centers ever that also deal with health and wellness and addiction, but is to use those spring waters because of the lithium. And that's actually was my goal, is to have a place where people could come to freely. And when we started stuff in my center, even back here, we had free healthcare in my center. We have an amethyst crystal bed that people could come on and heal for free. It's like the best ever. Let's just have a party. And that's what it's about. People think the rich and elite, they have money. They don't. They gift. They do it. This is how it's done. And we're just sharing with you how it's done. This is the way fun thing. So
I want people to know that I'm willing to accept gifts also.
Exactly.
Just letting you know, I'm open to accepting gifts for all of you that are out there that feel the need to compensate.
Well, and
carry on.
This is it. Like, people go, well, what can you use right now? Well, seriously, we've got to get some transportation out to go out there. We like to get like a good truck and like the best fifth wheel or something ever. There's people that can stay in yours. I have my own teepee. I literally have been gifted that. They said we were waiting for the right women and the real women to show up, and obviously you're it. And I mean, a teepee is not a teepee. It is a lodge teaching. It's that those poles represent the male, that we have earned the right, been chosen and elected, that literally we have respect, we have love, we have faith, we're childbearing. Every one of those poles is a teaching and a virtue. And so that is exactly how it is. We are the best and we are treated the best. So I don't have a problem in requesting and say, please, we could use this right now. Love to have, I said a blend tech, like a Vitamix. That would be the best ever right now. We're on the road. And so we put a lot of stuff in. People have a question, they can get a hold of me on Facebook. My email is namelessbeing9. If you want me on Skype, it's called Karen Mac, CALLED, KARENMAC. We are here to also receive. We're here to help. And this is about co-creation. And like even this stuff, I knew, Stephen, you'd love that. We seriously gift the best enemas and colonics ever. Do you know, literally 13 biofeedbacks we moved. We had more cruises from, young living oils to the biofeedback machines to whatever you want, to 12 of my girls got to be colonic practitioners. That weekend for 11 days when we were up there in Nelson, we had 10 more colonic practitioners. It's about me not doing anything. We're not here. It's about you being self-empowered. We're not here to govern anyone. We're here to go, wow, we're all leaders. We're all responsible. That's what makes it beautiful. It's all community contribution. And so if that's something I can do for you, I'd love to do that. And I'll tell you, there'd be no problems, no guys getting up at night, no tumors, no prostate problems, no cancer, if people were doing them properly. And you can go back to the Essene Gospel of Peace. That's what we're talking about, is the Essene Gospel of Peace. It's in all the Vedic scriptures. It's in the pyramids. We know how to decode them because we can read it. The Cam language is my language. We know what it is. It's the pics. It's the hieroglyphics. That's how we communicate, telepathy. It's great. Someone mentioned here about the teepee. In a teepee, it's amazing. Okay, and where I am in Saskatoon is actually the Wheel of Peace. At Wanuskewin is the second largest cosmic thing, and it's ironic. This is where we sent all the documentation in to maintain the peace and the peace treaties that have kept our nations together. A native, by the way, is not an Indian. An Indian means those that practice indigenous or creator's law. A native has been colonized. They've been put into a third world prisoner of war camp. And what we could do, just think of the idea of taking a prisoner of war camp or a band of reserve that has actually abdicated, given up their freedoms for pieces of paper. Those could all be eco-villages again, eventually. But again, I'm dealing with even the indigenous people here. They're going to be coming to our place. They're coming to the Snayaks. We know that. We're ready for you. We've been there for 3 years preparing, having the best time ever. And this is what we do. It's bring it forward. I love doing biofeedback for people. I have people all over. I'm doing London. I'm doing this. You never know who's on tour. Russell Means is phenomenal. I just actually put his stuff up. You know, they talk about the clan mums. They know that. A lot of these people have been kept dormant because they were scared of being genocided. These women like, you know, Agnes, like Meredith Quinn's mom, they kept this language. They didn't need to have anything put down in paper because they could tell you, we're the record keepers. We hold the original programs. We have that original DNA. Our DNA is different as well. You know, so when you start learning about ascension and DNA, it's coming back to the original ways of doing things. So I think that's just absolutely phenomenal on here. So, you know, we really need to look at the future shift is making our future now. You are the future. And if you can make the change, I've just watched what it's done in Allie and Alex a little bit. And like even getting Allie, a lot of our children were put through actually MK Ultra projects. The biggest stuff was actually done here. And so I know what it's like to have children pulled away because of the system, because their dad's part of it or Jesuit trained. We know what that is like. And now we know, guess what? The wheel comes around. And like these children are going to be some of the best children ever. I mean, this would be the time actually is for me, when you get your divine twin ray back, you know what that is. If you read about Anastasia, there only is, it's a trinity, it's co-creation. And it's about us going back to natural laws and looking at what's called telegony. It's like breeding dogs, but I mean, that's the same thing that happens. We corrupt our programs if you don't know which bloodline or which nation you come off of. I mean, that's why things are in such a bloody mess and you got viruses all over. We got lots of stuff to play with now. And let's be able to love ourselves and love our men and have you guys protect them. I think it's great. I mean, we couldn't ask for better brothers. I mean, I love having you guys. We've got the best circle around us. We're the most protected women there are. You know.
Karen, we're getting down to about, looks like, we're about 3 minutes left in the show before we start hearing music. So we don't have any time left for callers. So we're not going to really be able to cover too much left. We're just going to want to finalize everything here. I want to, first of all, I want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank all of our listeners. And I want to thank our callers. And I want to thank Richard for producing our show today. And again, I look forward to seeing Joe again next week. But Richard, thank you for your time and helping us out today.
More than happy.
Again, this is listener-supported radio, freedomslips.com. If you go to Revolution Radio page, there is a button that you can go to donate. Karen has given out her pages, and you can find her on Facebook. Certainly find me on Facebook. Find Revolution Radio on Facebook, freedomslips.com Facebook page. This is a great way for everybody to connect and communicate. Karen, do you have you're going to have a web page out very soon, you said?
Yeah, we've been at it. I just, and I go to even with the electricity, I'm going, I don't know how much in there, but
how long before you think it's going to be ready?
I think the guys could probably get together within a week or two, but it will go back under Karen McDonald, and it would be .info, not .com for commercial.
All right. All right.
But
good.
That was the original one, so I'm going to see how that is. But if you keep on touch, like between Patty's site or my Facebook, we'll have it out here. The guys are just actually doing that right now.
All right. Well, when you have that ready, let me know, and I will paste on my Facebook, and we'll circulate that around. And of course, again, I want everybody to understand that I will also have a web page up very soon, StephenDKelly.com. It's not up there yet, but it will be very soon, and you can purchase my book and all these wonderful things. We're getting down to the last 2 minutes. So, Karen, if you could give me 1 minute to finalize, what would you like to tell everybody?
If everyone could come together and we could be all brothers and sisters, but let's get into the peace mode and let's just think, how can we, be the change and walk that talk right now. Let's get healthy. Let's make that you are the best. I really encourage people to do some of the stuff, even with David Wolf. Look about Ormus, look about Rocket Cow, look at what those superfoods can do for you. Stay out of the supermarket, start getting about the heritage heirloom seeds, make preparation now, not for what's coming. The shift is now. We are the shift. We're the gift of the shift. Be what you want to be. We were just waiting, literally. This is such a good time to be healthy. There's no necessity for any disease, anyone to be poor, everything. This whole universe is ours to inherit. And intergalactic. Let's welcome all this stuff coming in. This is the best time. Let's be part of procreation. Thank you. Shalom.
All right. Well, listen, I hope you enjoyed coming on the program. I know you've been anxious.
Oh, absolutely.
We've been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks. The music is starting. I want to thank everybody for being here. Please tune in next week. I'll let you know about my guest on Facebook. Please join me on Facebook. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody listening. God bless. Please join us next week. Thank you very much. Good night.
And you want to see the future shift? That's the new movie out for us.
Good night.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
Ever feel as though human beings are being farmed? Your food is chosen by the FDA. You're told what drugs you can